Welcome everybody. It's great to see you all. Thank you so much for coming to our special Creative Connect kind of lunch and learn event. I'm Janine Matheson. I've met some of you, not everybody. I'm the director at Glasgow Connected Arts Network, and I'm joined by the lovely Jade, who you might recognise from other events and training things that you've been on. Our Creative Connect event we do monthly, and it's our kind of informal gathering to bring our members and people together, where we can share projects that we're working on, sort of tips and tricks of things that we've learned along the way. It's a place where our members can also ask for help or ask for maybe something that they're looking for a project or a new connection with somebody, and hopefully we can help them connect to someone through our network. So today we're focusing obviously on the Youth Arts Small Grant Award, and we've got some of our awardees that are kindly joined us today. I'm going to talk a little bit about the projects that they've been working on over the last I was going to say a year, but it's much shorter than a year, but it kind of has changed shape a little bit because of the pandemic, like most of our work. So we're only here together for an hour. We haven't got any scheduled breaks, so if anybody needs a comfort break or anything, please just kind of keep yourself comfortable. We are recording, so if you want to switch off your camera, that's absolutely fine. We want to keep today super informal, so if you've got questions to ask our awardees, please do pop them in the chat or wave to us, and we will kind of stop and ask you to sort of see your question. But it's a space that we want to have some peer learning, and if you're interested in the award and kind of what it was and how people have used that grant, this is kind of the place to be and ask those questions. So I thought before I introduce the kind of actual award and what the purpose was through Creative Scotland, I thought it would be quite nice just to very quickly everyone to introduce themselves and say who they are and maybe something that they're working on or what creative discipline they're focused in on at the moment. And if you're an attendee that's new to the grant, maybe what you're interested in learning, and that will help us kind of know what questions to ask and things from our awardees. So I might pass over to my colleague Jade to kind of say who she is if you don't know her, and then we'll pass to the to everybody else. Okay.
Hello, yeah, I'm Jade. I'm the membership and marketing coordinator for Glasgow CAN, and I'm also a kind of freelance creative practitioner. I've done quite a lot of work with the Bold Collective, which is our youth arts division, and yeah, multiple things going on at multiple times. I'm also studying at the moment as well, so busy. And my background is in visual arts, so lots of painting and collage interests. I will pass over to Romy.
All right, I'm Romy, this is Sam. We both, as GCAN members, we have a third member of our trio, Sophie, who isn't here today. We play the harp, and we've with GCAN done a project where we did duo harp music based on Swan Lake and based on a bit of Scottish music, and we involved a ballet dancer, and we did puppeteering, and it was just a really great children's show to be introduced to live arts.
Thank you. I'm going to jump to Phil. Are you happy to say hello and who you are?
Hello. So I joined the Glasgow CAN because I did some creative works with the immigrant children in Angus in Scotland when I moved to Scotland for the first time. And then a long time ago, I was studying graphic design and illustration, where I had a project with kids, and I really enjoyed that. And that's what I'm planning to gain as I'm finishing my degree in mass communication, advertisement, PR, such as in May. So I can't wait to graduate and just do as much as possible projects with kids or the youth in general, because I worked also for 13 years, half of this with kids with some disabilities and without disabilities, and I really enjoyed an engagement. Also, I have a secret business plan. It's sort of my dream that I would like to sort of, I don't know, start with you guys, and that will involve the craft of Scotland, promotion of craft in Scotland, artists, and most likely the kids. Thank you.
Thank you, Philippe. And Phil?
Hello, hi. Just to confuse you, I'm also Phil, a different kind of Phil. I what am I? I'm a participatory artist, and I specialise in theatre making and in visual arts, quite often combined. I do all sorts of kind of multimedia projects, particularly with young people. I'm currently the lead artist for the Culture Collective project with ToonSpeak. Having said that, though, we're not actually working with a lot of young people in that particular project, but across all ages. And I'm always interested to see what projects are out there, what other people are doing, and obviously what funding is available. I'm currently interested in pigeons, because there is an underpass, a really minging underpass in Renfrewshire that leads you onto the cycle path. And so I'm going for funding to paint that as a mural, because the pigeons live there, which is nice. I'm gonna need a hat, and also create poetry and writing with community groups about birds and nature and our connection to them, and having that integrated into the mural in some way, so people can walk and listen to these stories and so on. So that's what I'm investigating right now. I'm going to cheekily head it over to Hayley, if that's okay, because I'm familiar with Hayley. Hi.
Hi Phil, thanks for passing over to me. Hi everybody, my name is Hayley. I am a freelance dance artist. I'm here, I co-run Overdrive Dance Company with Lucy, who's here today. But in my other work, I'm a performer, I'm a choreographer, I'm a facilitator. I work with Phil at ToonSpeak. I'm part of the Culture Collective there as one of their associate artists. So working across different communities in the north of Glasgow. Why we're here, we received one of the Youth Arts grants for Overdrive. Overdrive engages boys and young men in dance in Glasgow, and we will talk to you later on about what we did with our funding. I'll pass you on to Lucy because we're both wearing Overdrive hoodies, because why not?
Hi everybody, lovely to meet you all and hear about what you guys do. Yeah, like Hayley said, my name's Lucy, my pronouns are she, her, and yeah, I'm here because I co-run Overdrive Dance Company. I also work as a freelancer, so I have a background in both theatre and dance. So I work as a director, a movement director, a facilitator, and yeah, we'll talk a little bit more about why we're here, but Hayley brilliantly introduced us. So I'll pass back to, anybody else to introduce who's not been yet? Corelia, I'm sorry if that's not how you say it. I'll pass over to you to say hi.
So I'm a writer. I just had my first episode on Doctors last week, so I was really pleased with that. And I do other writing as well, poetry and all sorts of different things. But as part of that, I've kind of tried. I'm doing a community arts mentoring course at the moment. So I've done sort of placements with community arts, and what I'd really like to do is run writing programs myself for different people. So it sounds like I'm definitely going to get a placement doing that. I feel really confident and comfortable dealing with people 11 plus, because I can remember doing writing workshops myself when I was 11 plus, but I'm less confident and comfortable about wee kids, and I've done loads and loads of research. But yeah, so I'm kind of just, that's me, I suppose. Yeah, shut up.
Thank you so much, and congratulations on your episode. That's so exciting. Well done.
Thank you.
That's great. I think we maybe lost Lauren, because I think Lauren was maybe the last person that we haven't heard from. Hopefully she'll be able to come back. So I'm just going to, for those that are kind of new to the Youth Arts Small Grant, I'm just going to kind of say how we got involved and what it is. So at the end of 2020, Scottish Government invested some money into Creative Scotland to announce this new kind of programme, the Youth Arts Fund for Small Grant Scheme. And the purpose was to support organisations to take ownership of distributing funding. So kind of looking at organisations that are already connected to the Participatory Arts Network or Youth Arts Networks, and actually allow them to sort of empower their freelancers and creative practitioners all working in this space, and to deliver basically the activity for the benefit of children and young people. So organisations could apply for up to 50k to distribute grants between £500 up to £5,000. So it was a really kind of quick and fast process, and GCAN was delighted that we got awarded 25 grand. So we had I think it was in December that we were awarded the grant, December 2021, and then we had a very quick turnaround of a couple of months to advertise and market the programme and get our proposals in, and awardees were confirmed in March. So the projects have kind of gone from March 2021, and we had 8 awardees that were awarded up to £2,500. And I think because GCAN had quite a bit of experience with the Glasgow Creates programme, where we distribute funding, but this was quite focused to our youth arts practitioners. So I suppose the outcomes that we were looking to deliver through the awardees that we awarded was to support disadvantaged young people, to improve career opportunities or career pathways through safe spaces to be creative, increased confidence through access and participation, improved mental well-being through creative opportunities and connecting to peers and new networks, and to give artists opportunities to develop their practice. So people working already in this space, but to give them some funding to actually realise a new project or something that they would like to develop. And finally, to nurture a diverse participatory arts landscape in Glasgow, across Glasgow, which is what GCAN, that's kind of in our DNA that we want to do that. So we have 2 of our wonderful project awardees here that are going to talk a little bit about what they were awarded to do and how their project looked. And if you are an audience member, please do ask questions. This is a perfect time to sort of ask, and also other awardees who might be interested in knowing a little bit more from each other. And we have a video as well from Blair, who couldn't make today but made us a really cool video, so we'll watch that. But I know that Romy and Sam have something at past. So if I can invite you maybe first to introduce your project and some of the kind of reflections that you've had from going through the grant.
Yeah. Where do we begin?
Well,
we also have a video.
Yeah, why don't we play our video first?
Yes.
It kind of sums it up.
Yeah.
It'll give you a little bit of a taster of what we did, and then we can talk a little bit more about it after we've shown it to you.
Yeah. Can we just screen share in here? Yeah, I think so. I'll post the link as well, so people can just have that.
Once upon a time, there lived a princess named Elsa and her 11 brothers.
actually she's a police hussar.
Thank you so much for your help. So with all of her new friends' help, Elsa had enough tweed to be
Yeah.
So
there you go.
yeah, so what we did was we made this project, and it was delivered at the beginning of August 2021. So it was one of the first opportunities for people and children to experience live music after the kind of various lockdowns and the pandemic.
Yeah, it was 2 free performances we did.
Yeah, and we targeted particularly children from areas which were part of the lower SMID index. We did that through various things, through like Facebook groups. We got mentioned in Snack magazine. We were fully booked out for both of the sessions.
Yeah.
And it was nice seeing the children being able to, they interacted really well with the puppets.
Yeah, definitely.
We made sure to interact really closely with the children. And there was a bit when we walked the tweed where all the children could come up and have a go at actually walking the tweed and make up a little bit of a song to come with it. And yeah, it was really nice to see.
That's good. Yeah, we also made a feedback form opportunity at the end for the families to kind of let us know what area they're from, learn a bit about sort of the diversity of the audience, I guess you could say, and also learn about kind of the impact that Seeing Arts Again has had on the children. We heard from a lot of the families. Most of them hadn't seen any live performances for the last, I think, a guideline was 18 months, and also a good amount of them had never seen any live ballet, live theater before. So that was really good to learn about as well. Do we have anything else?
We also made a haggis. Well, Romy made a haggis.
We made puppets. We got to do a workshop in puppeteering with is she just a performer, a puppeteer?
Yeah, she's like a
puppeteer
theatre specialist.
Megan Thomas. Yeah, so here they are.
We love these.
Yeah, we play with them all the time. Like we sit in the kitchen window and yeah, I think that's about the story of it.
Yeah. Oh, and our ballet dancer as well. It was nice because she was someone she just graduated school, but she worked a lot with like Scottish ballet. She went all the way up through Scottish ballet, and it was her first opportunity to kind of choreograph something and work fully as part of the team and then do theatre. So kind of felt like we were giving her first opportunity, and she was fantastic.
She was brilliant.
Yeah. That's us. Are there any questions?
That's amazing. Thank you so much. And I think Jade popped in the chat that we can send out the video to the group as well, which would be nice so I can hear them. Yeah, does anyone have any questions for Romy and Sam? I'm going to ask one. Oh, Lucy, you go first.
No, I just wanted to hear a little bit about how like your what your rehearsal process was like how long you did that, and like was there 4 of you involved in the project, like what kind of roles you took on? It'd be just nosy to hear about that.
Yes. We did a lot of prep work in getting the music together, and then we had, was it 2 full like putting the show together days?
We
3,
had
something like that.
2 full days with the 4 of us, but the 3 of us are the Willow Trio. So that's Romy, Sophie, who's the other harpist, and myself. We'd come up with a storyboard and the music and everything beforehand, so that when Imogen came along as our dancer, we were able to basically show her everything that we had and the story, And then over those 2 days, she would kind of come up with the choreography herself. We found that because it was her first thing, she kind of wanted to almost work too much, and we had to be like, no, it's okay, you can take a break because you're dancing and it's really hard, and we've got the harps entirely for this reason. So I think after the first full day, she kind of relaxed a bit more into it.
Yeah. We also had the workshop. Was that a half day? Something like that?
Yeah, that's true.
I think that did affect a lot how we ended up structuring and thinking about things like dialogue and story, stuff like that.
And how to use the puppets as well. I think it just helped make it really cohesive.
Do you want to stay on? I have to.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, sorry, I have to go, but yeah, it was nice to see you all and to chat about.
Thank you so much for
yeah,
dropping in as well. Thank you. I know you're
really busy, see you guys later.
Hello, it's just me and the haggis now.
I had one question. I just wondered, now that you've sort of gone through the two performances with the young people, has it inspired like the next project, or what are you sort of thinking to work on next?
Yeah, so we've actually been asked to do it again at the Story Shed in Moogity Grub Hub. And it's just trying to work out how it all fits together. But we're also thinking about potentially changing it a wee bit so that Megan, who did our puppet workshop, would actually come on board and do a little bit more of the narrating and puppetry with us. We're kind of thinking about just changing its structure a wee bit. It was really enjoyable. We've got another project aimed at adults, and the idea is to rurally tour that. And we'd like to be able to kind of do almost a free children's workshop in the morning, so that people in the local area with children can come along and can see the children's Swan Lake bit. And then we'll have an adults ticketed Swan Lake bit later on. And we think that that's a really good use of our travel time and being able to give as much to the local communities as possible.
That sounds wonderful. When is that? When are you doing the performance?
So probably not till January 2023, so next January. So we've started looking at touring for that, but the adults part of it is a huge project, which we're starting working on, but it's probably going to take all year.
Well, let us know when you're doing it and we can share it with the network.
Brilliant, will do.
Does anyone else have any questions for Sam? Well, thank you. Oh, Phil, yeah.
Oh, I don't know if this is really a question, and I forgive me if I just sound bossy or annoying. But I think one of the things that I would love to see with that piece is if you were able to get a wee bit of extra funding as a designer, because I think it's so beautiful, but I think a design would hold everything together. It would be really nice to see.
We would love that. And if you've got, because we've been looking and searching high and low for a designer for our adults project, and we've not been able to find anyone. So if you have any suggestions, please can you just pop them in the chat, because that's something which we've been actively looking for. So that would be great.
Definitely.
Thank you. But yeah, I totally agree. We didn't have enough funding for that side of things, and for us, we wanted to focus on the children's and the kind of making it happen kind of thing. But for the bigger projects, it's something we really want.
Can I just say, well, one thing is I have a designer suggestion, because one of my neighbours is a theatre designer. So it'd be whether or not he would have time to do it or not. Don't know. So that's one thing. But can I also ask, because I'm really new, because I've never run my own participatory arts project before or anything like that. Can I ask a really I used to have my own business, so I really understand money. But I was just wondering if you can tell me, all the prep work that you've done, are you funded in order to do that? Or do you just have to do it out of the good of your heart?
So the rehearsals we were funded for, the two rehearsals, and the workshops we were funded for. We were funded for all of the materials to make the puppets. We weren't funded for the time to make the puppets, but that was something which, again, me and Romy did these puppets, and I made the kind of swan stick models. That was something which me and Romy were happy to do. I think because it was the middle of lockdown as well, we had a lot of time. So it was something that we wanted to do. And we also did all of the pre-planning. So I think the music arranging and the storyboarding was done beforehand.
Right. So you didn't charge for that. So in terms of the storyboarding and everything, had you kind of like come up with a story before you applied for funding and made all these?
Yeah.
And you made the puppets and things before you applied for funding?
No. So we were given funding for the puppet materials, but not for the time to make them. But we made them once we had funding.
Right. Okay. And sorry, I'm sorry if I've missed this. I had some noise right at the beginning. Did you? So it was you did 2 sessions. How long did you have the children for?
So the sessions, I think were they about 40? Sorry, it was in August. So I think they were about 40 minutes long each story, each show. Or maybe it was an hour, something around then.
Around that time, yeah.
And yeah, the kids arrived a wee bit beforehand and then a wee bit afterwards, and we found that they kind of wanted to come up and ask questions and see the puppets and see the class acts as well. They were really interested in that. So the children just stayed around as long as they wanted to and asked questions afterwards.
Right. Cool. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Sam, and thank you everyone for great questions. It was really nice to sort of unpick a few more of the details. I'm going to pass on to Hayley and Lucy, if that's okay. Do you need us to make you co-hosts?
That'd be great, thank you.
I think if you just make, Lucy, are you okay to share the images?
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. So it just needs to be Lucy.
Great. I'm going to kick off, and Hayley, do jump in if there's anything you want to add. But yeah, we run Overdrive Dance Company, as Hayley mentioned at the beginning. It is a youth dance company for boys and young men in Glasgow, and we offer our opportunities free of charge. And we got the funding to run sessions, workshops with the boys, and it was our kind of first opportunity to be back in the space together, which was amazing after, as you all have experienced, the joys of lockdown and also trying to work online. So I'm just going to share a couple of photos. So here we go. Can everybody see that? Yes, I can see some nodding heads. Brilliant. Fantastic. So yeah, this is some rehearsal shots from the project, from being back in the studio. So what was really exciting about being able to be back in is there was a chance to reconnect. The company is very much about a support system for the boys. It is about an opportunity to share, to learn from each other. And so it was really great to be able to do that back in person. We were keeping the workshops quite open at the very beginning as to what the content would be, and letting that being steered by the young people. And the boys basically wanted to have a chance to come back together, catch up with each other, have some fun, be back dancing. We've done some stuff on Zoom, but as you can imagine, very, very different dancing in your bedroom to being in the space. A lot of people had a small space. You know, some people didn't feel comfortable at the beginning, sort of having cameras on, and we kind of worked through that with a little bit of time that we managed to have on Zoom. But it was just basically amazing to be back in the studio and able to do what we do and sort of be who we are. We also have a support artist. So this is Blair. We were able to fund Blair's time on the project to yeah, basically be a mentor. So our age range is quite wide. We're sort of open from about like 10 years old up to about 25. And Blair's been with the company back in 2014 when we sort of set it up, and has kind of come through that and is now a professional sort of artist and kind of trying to, you know, develop his craft in the world. And it's always worked really well, the sort of older members mentoring the younger members, and the sort of younger ones sort of challenging and sort of pushing the kind of older members. So Blair was our support artist, and it's very much the way that we're trying to kind of work moving forward to be able to offer these sort of funded positions within the company and develop the boys to kind of sort of, you know, go in their path, whatever they specifically are kind of looking to learn more about. So yeah, it's a lot about fun, and that's what the boys want to do, is to have fun. We do a lot of games. The kind of way we work is about yeah, fun, games, play, experiment. So this is us playing a classic game of red light, green light, which is kind of like known as grandmother's footsteps. I think there's like many other names that people will know it as, but yeah, just
the images haven't shifted. Could you maybe?
Oh, of course. Okay, so you should be able to see the gallery view then. Yeah, we'll just stick on the gallery view. I don't know why when I highlighted them and made them bigger, they disappeared. Fun. Cool. So I was talking about image 2, which I'm putting my cursor over. I don't know if you can see that. That's Blair, our support artist. And then I was just moving on to image 3 over there, and that's us playing the game I was talking about. So like I said, game, play is a huge part of it, of what we're doing. I'll just scroll down, hopefully, and you can kind of see onto image 4. So we were working towards a performance. We were invited to perform at Go Dance, which is at the Theatre Royal in Glasgow. And we were given the opportunity to perform a piece there. So we decided to resurrect a piece we were meant to be performing at the beginning of the pandemic. I think literally the week before we were meant to perform, the pandemic kind of hit and everything was cancelled. So that piece never got to be seen live on stage, and it was basically kind of ready to go. So we chose some of our time to play, reconnect, and then moved on to using the last of our 6 workshops, I think it was in total we had, to restage this piece. So that's us in image 4, kind of trying to look back at the work that we've done, and start to kind of figure out how we could bring it back to life. And Hayley will talk a little bit more about what the piece is about in a wee second. And then image 5 there is us starting to actually rehearse the piece. It was, yeah, we had some different members. So we were trying to restage it, look at it with fresh eyes. It was really like a great opportunity to get to sort of see it again, look at what we wanted to adapt, what to change. Amazingly, the boys have had like 2 years of growing, so they were different. They'd changed. They were some of them had gone off to study sort of dance in that kind of gap. So we were sort of faced with them, as you know, young people grow so fast in that time. So we kind of had yeah, a really exciting opportunity to kind of as artists come back with different ideas, different thoughts, and really like look at the piece. And then image 6 is just us having a laugh, basically, because I think laughter is really important to how we work, creating a sort of like positive space, but that is safe. People feel they can be themselves. They can they can explore things, they can be challenged, and sort of support each other. So yeah, keeping that in the rehearsal spaces is really, really important. So yeah, those are the kind of workshops. And then Hayley's going to go on to talk a little bit about what that led on to and how that then developed.
Thanks, Lucy. So image 7, we have a picture of somebody in a Shrek mask and somebody in an inflatable dinosaur suit. This is just a little good example of just how much fun we have at Overdrive. We work really closely with the young people. We've worked with them for so many years, on and off. So the opportunity to have this funding meant that we could bring people back together again. And we work closely with the young people in terms of they're part of all the decision-making processes that we, as best as possible. Everything to do with the performances that we create, we work in close collaboration with them. How the sessions run, and when the sessions happen, they're all consulted with the young people. This particular dress up day was a request by the young people. We were finishing up before the Christmas holidays, and they wanted to do something fun, so they suggested this, and they danced pretty much the whole workshop. We had 2 inflatable dinosaurs, a Shrek, many other things. General hilarity all around, and quite impressive, them dancing in inflatable dinosaur suits. When we initially applied for the funding, theatres were still closed to the public, so the opportunity when we were invited to perform was massive for us. So we shifted our project slightly. Initially, we wanted just to bring our young people back together again, re-engage them with dance, re-engage them with their creativity. But as Lucy had said, we had made a piece on the brink of lockdown that nobody had seen. So we figured the opportunity was so good. So we redirected our time towards rehearsals and restaging this work. Go Dance is a community dance festival that happens at the Theatre Royal. And it's a celebration over a couple of nights of different youth, different community groups around Scotland. We performed Status Changed. This was initially made in 2020. I think March 2020, we had our last hand gel. Nobody knew what was happening. We were just throwing hand gel at people in the hopes that we were doing something right, in the hope that we were performing, I think, on the Friday, and lockdown happened on the Wednesday. So for our young people, it was a massive opportunity to perform on one of the biggest stages in Glasgow, and then that didn't happen. So image 8, we have a bunch of young people wearing orange suits. Status Changed was made looking at how young people felt about the world that they were in. And this was before the pandemic, so a lot of things were to do with the political instability, environmental concerns, and generally just the challenges of being a young person. We created states of being, which included feeling really anxious. So we have a lot of the performance is the young people crossing the stage, all the way through to burying your head in the sand, to I'm just living for every moment. So we wanted to capture a lot of what the young people were saying into our work. Lucy, if you could move on to the next image. There we go. As much as it's boys dance, we're constantly challenging stigmas about what that means. The boys themselves are super physical in terms of how they approach movement. They come from such varied backgrounds, but we also always make sure that there's room for tenderness, intimacy, things that you maybe wouldn't expect from boys, but absolutely is 100% possible with them. Let's see if we can have the next one. Yeah, this is just them on stage doing their thing. They're amazing. The way we work with them choreographically is they have the ultimate say in what happens. This is a section of solos where they're all the states that we were talking about. They amalgamated them into movement. We also used text as well, which for us was the first time we'd included this. We had some lines from Shakespeare. And again, this just sort of underpinned the tone of the performance. Let's see if we can have the next one. Yeah, young people working together. This particular duet, we had choreographed on them, but one of the young dancers at the time was injured, so he actually took the lead in terms of directing this and helping to shape it. If we have the next one, just because I know what I want to talk about now. So yeah, ultimately there was lots of surprises in this project. We were constantly faced with when we could get access to our space. We are gifted space by Creative Learning of the Theatre Royal. We get to use their education room. However, that all depends on when the building was open, and we were hit with waves of restrictions, trying to fit around the building opening back up to the public, their sort of what they can sort of manage with their capacity. So we were constantly on the brink of going and then slightly held back, and then on the brink of going and slightly held back. But when we did get to perform, everything went pretty smoothly, and we got some extra hidden bonuses. During the summer of 2021, we had made a film with the young people, which was us creating a film about the piece that we never got to do. And we didn't want to create a film that just looked like the stage performance. So it was an adaptation of what that would look like. And what was really amazing for Go Dance was we got to share both of them. So we had the live performance. It finishes with the young people running on stage and hitting the deck, and then a screen came down and we got to see the film, which I think just sort of created for us as artists like almost a new a great way to celebrate the fact that we gained so many new skills during the pandemic, but also an interesting way of merging digital and live performance. And I think I was going to share a video, but I am looking at the time, so we can share that later. We'll just finish with a nice picture. They're good. I mean, they're just gorgeous people that we work with. They're super talented. I'll talk a little bit about where they come from. We've been working with them for 7 years. They come from a variety of different areas of Glasgow. They have a variety of experiences with dance and also a variety of abilities. So they're open, they're inclusive. They're just a great bunch of young people. And I think one of the things that's most that's really special about them is that they've worked together for so long that they work in a similar way as we would as professionals, in terms of how they approach work, how they support one another to make work as well. They're young people, but they're young artists, and they're artists in their own right. And I'll finish on that note.
Great. That's us.
Thank you. What amazing photographs. And I know that Jade really enjoyed the performance. She raved about it afterwards. I'm sorry I couldn't make it. Yeah, thank you so much for kind of going through the project. And I loved how you sort of talked about surprises and bonuses. It was a really nice way of talking about some of the challenges that I think we've all sort of experienced over the last 2 years. Yeah, I had a quick question before just opening it up around the group. I suppose because of lockdown, did you see a change in when they were coming together of just, I guess, not quite ready to jump into it, but needing to, like, how did you kind of get them out of their shell a little bit more? Or, I don't know, did you experience any kind of changes in what maybe their personality of that time?
I think what was interesting, I mean, like physically they'd all grown about at least a foot each since we last saw them. Also emotionally they had also changed as well. I should have shared this video. The first thing they did when we got back into the space all together was they all lay down on the floor and start doing snow angels. And I think it's just that thing of how they relate to the space and creating safe spaces for young people that they feel ownership of. That's their studio, that's where they work. And I think they were just so happy to be back together again. Energy with young people, energy with young boys in particular, it grows into a massive cacophony. So we had plenty of those sort of like explosive moments of just like people just being so happy to be together again. So yeah, I think it was just more they were super appreciative of being back and being back in person. Lucy?
I'll just share a couple, and we've got some of the words. So we asked them to give us words of the very first workshop back. And I just think it's quite interesting. So the words were, this is not all the words, but like some of them won't make sense, so it's no helpful. But these ones are like fantastic, exciting, relief. I think that's a really interesting one. Happy, feels like a family reunion, a good one. And then lots of like yes mans and all that written down and stuff like that. But I think that just kind of gives you a snapshot of like, we're always really like, be honest with how you feel and things like that. But I mean, that I think gives you a little just how much it meant to them to be together. And then, yeah, I mean, relief is like a really interesting one. And a family, there's a couple of ones that said a family feels like a family reunion, which I think is really special. So yeah.
Thank you. So do we have any questions from the audience? Got someone joining us, Sam. Hi Sam, you're back.
Hi, sorry, Romy's laptop turned itself off, so sorry.
I should have mentioned as well, like through the funding, we were able to support the young people. So we've never charged for anybody taking part. We want to remove financial barriers for taking part in the performing arts. As I mentioned before, they come from a variety of different backgrounds. So anybody who travelled with public transport, we covered their costs, and we were able to offer like some small snacks. And again, with the boys, we asked them what they wanted every week, which became into sort of like flurry into exotic fruits. We wanted to try something different. So right before Christmas, we all had persimmons and nobody knew how to eat them. So again, it's just part of, they're there to be artists, but it's also just sort of, they sort of create all these amazing sort of creative choices, even in what snacks we eat. Which was really great in order to be able to provide that. We've been given a little bit of funding from the theatre. They've been invited to perform at the National Youth Dance Showcase in Inverness. So they've given us some funding towards our rehearsals, but we've not been able to cover things like travel and snacks. And they're all like, oh, where have the snacks gone? And it's little things like that that actually I think helps them feel like they're being looked after, but also just the fact that they're part of decision-making processes in small and large ways.
That's great, yeah. Any questions from the group? Okay, well, Corelia?
Sorry, I keep getting on mute. I keep burbling away. So what was the age range again of your group, and how did you select? Did you just it was just who applied, was it, or?
As we started off in 2014 working in schools and running open community sessions, so we've just gathered young people throughout as we go. The age range of this particular performance is 14 to 26, but we run a sort of open door sort of policy.
Oh wow, okay. So you already had a relationship with each of them individually. Okay, thank you.
They've worked together, and then every so often we'll have a call out. It depends on what funding we have available. For example, when we made a film, we needed to work with young people that we had an existing relationship with, just because we were working online and in person, and then coming back because this was a performance. So sometimes it's very much like who's part of the company, and then other times we open the doors. So we've just started introducing some new members in. I'm looking at Lucy, like I'm looking like this because you're in the box next to me.
No.
You can't see that I'm looking at you.
You said it all, and I think we often get asked why our age range is so wide. And then we originally started having a younger group and an older group, and then we realized that when we brought everybody together, actually some really wonderful things happened. And I talked already a little bit about how our younger ones support the older ones support the younger ones. So it's always been a really great kind of way of working. So that's why our age range is that kind of open. And like I said, Hayley, this was slightly older section of our young people. But yeah.
Well, thank you both. I think it was a wonderful project, and it's been great to sort of visually see it as well. So thank you very much for sharing your experience.
Thank you.
We've got a video from Blair, which I think may take us over time. So if you do need to keep to time at 1 o'clock, I'll say thank you for joining us and bye. But if you can stay for a little bit longer, obviously Blair's not here to answer any questions, but it'd be good to just have a bit of a roundup at the end, if that's okay. Jade, are you happy to? Great. Awesome.
Hi folks, I'm Blair Thompson from the DNP studio, and I worked on a project, a fabulous project to work on, called Manga, Anime and Comic Drawing for Young People, which worked on last year through autumn. So I'm going to tell you about that. Just want to say apologies I'm not with you today. It would have been lovely to hear about all your projects and how you worked on them. So the Manga Anime Comic project, how did that kind of come about? So it's something that had been kind of trying a wee bit with young people in my work in mainly north side of Glasgow and east side sometimes as well, and out at Clydebank too. I'd found it was a good way to engage with a particularly S1 plus sort of age group that were, you know, maybe kind of harder to reach individuals especially. So we tried a lot of approaches with young folk in this project. Mainly started with drawing, and that was my kind of main plan, to pretty much draw. But it actually changed a fair bit through the project. With the kind of direction of the young folks themselves, and went very well. You're really fantastic. Your participation and your great engagement. Things were sometimes up against us. We were working outside for the whole project through autumn last year. You probably remember there was some wild days. We had gazebos up a lot of the time. Thankfully we were able to go indoors for some of the time as well. We worked with 2 age groups: primary children aged primary 1 to 7, and young people from S1 up to around about 21, 22. years old. And I delivered all the sessions with help from partner staff and also staff from one of the centres where I was working in Wynford in Maryhill. I was also in Rockhill, but this community centre there had been closed, so the partner encouraged me to work in two of their locations, one of which was the local park and also the allotment there in Rockhill. So I partnered with the wonderful North United Communities. They are based in northwest of Glasgow. They've got bases, you know, a few bases in the north, but particularly worked in their two locations, Maryhill and Rockhill. And from the first sessions, there was, you know, an incredible amount of participation with, you know, a lot of diversity as well from the ethnic minorities in Wynford. You know, great to see so many folks coming out to take part. You know, that was, you know, the engagement was great. So there were 51 folk taking part through the project, mainly in the groups with the, you know, the younger groups. The older groups were still, you know, not too bad attendance, maybe up to maybe 8 young folk in the older group, and they mainly wanted to draw. You know, that's what they were interested in. They wanted to explore, you know, anime particularly, and some manga through drawing. So, you know, we did a lot of sketchbook work with them, and we talked a lot about, you know, the characters that they're interested in and inspired by, the themes, you know, which, if you know, you know, any anime, you'll know you are very focused on that sort of age group. A lot of manga's developed for that age group, so a lot of the themes are, you know, really interesting, expressing, you know, things like, you know, emotion, self-identity, you know, about the development of young people and their lives and relationships and that kind of thing, sexuality, all sorts of different things. So young people, you know, in the sessions, they really enjoy just chatting about, you know, their interests in anime particularly, and stuff. But I found out within a session or two that it wasn't going to work for the younger group to be focusing on drawing, because, you know, they wanted to try out other things as well. They could see that I had access to other materials and things, so they wanted to, you know, get their hands stuck in and maybe like mess about with craft materials and things like that. So I had the idea that we could look at some, you know, creating some of our own characters and things through, you know, clay and some craft materials, and that went, and, you know, it kind of started to, you know, change and adapt, with me being led by the, you know, the younger folk themselves, you know, with the two groups. So the two groups started to go different directions, and the materials, you know, moved in different directions as well. You know, with the younger ones going more for kind of more sculptural, hands-on materials, as well as drawing, and the older group still with drawing, you know, mainly, and then talking and exploring ideas, writing, doodling, you know, fonts and logos, and also even we had a wee, you know, chats about Nihongo, so like playing around with, you know, have a wee kind of, fun wee kind of conversations where I throw in Japanese, and they would kind of pick up some kind of Japanese words like tanoshi and genki, and also there's a technical kind of skill aspect as well. I was often helping them with that, how to use pencils just to start drawing freehand, or so there's a lot of positive kind of impacts, all sorts of different things, cultural connections. I wasn't sure how that was going to go down in Rockhill and Maryhill, but generally speaking, very well. And with the younger group, boys especially were who are usually the hardest to reach in that kind of age group for me, doing arts and crafts things, which I'm often doing. They were loving the they're drawing their favourite characters, like Dragon Ball characters behind me, for instance. All they had criticisms, why was I drawing the hair the wrong colour, and that kind of thing. And although the project was fully delivered in person, but I actually got some ideas for doing some anime and manga type sessions on Zoom as well. So I've done a wee bit of that since the project finished. So that was a lot down to I got to give thanks to the young people for inspiring me to do that, and with their ideas and experience working from them, I've been able to develop some strategies for engaging with young people, and actually young adults as well. So that's been fantastic. Also like to thank Hannah and also Jade and Janine as well, who have been fantastic support through the project. Thank you. Arigato.
Supposed to be referred. And this is like someone saying expect atonement, which is the charm which repels the mental.
Okay.
And I've drawn a snake giving an apple to Adam and Eve, and I've decorated the letters of it.
It's very inventive.
I've also drawn like a weird thingamajig. I myself don't even understand.
That's quite a scary thingamajig, isn't it?
I've drawn loads of tiny little things around and everywhere.
Great.
Oh, that was brilliant. It's a shame that Blair isn't here to get us a big round of applause. That was brilliant. He's got a very calming voice. I feel quite soothed at the end of that video as well. So if you had any questions for Blair, please do send them to myself or Jade, or pop them in the chat and we can send them to him. But I'm just conscious of time and just wanted to say thank you so much for joining us for this hour, and for the awardees, thank you for sharing your amazing projects. We really appreciate it was difficult to kind of come back from lockdown and then get straight into these projects and sort of navigate all the different restrictions, and I think you've all done an incredible job, and all the young people have really benefited from the project. So thank you so much for doing what you do so well. If people are interested about the funding, what's going to happen next, Creative Scotland are still waiting to hear from the Scottish Government about what the next stage of the fund will be. But they have given us sort of resources and signposting to other things in the meantime, which I'll share with Jade, and we can send them out to the group. And we have the next announcement of the Create grant, which everyone would be eligible to apply for in May. So once we've got that, we'll start advertising that in April probably, once we get some of our reporting done first, and then we can do that. So yeah, if anyone has any questions or anything, please do hang back. But yeah, thank you very much for joining us. It's been great to see you all and to hear. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.